Thanks for joining me today, Yolanda. I appreciate you being here for this Broadleaf Member Spotlight today. Could you introduce yourself and give us a little bit of your background? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I sure can. I'm Yolanda Faye Daniel. I go by my whole name because when I first got started, there were a lot of people with my name. I didn't know it was so popular. And so I inserted the middle name so it could be more distinct. I've been writing. Well, I'm a voracious reader, firstly. And So I started writing. I actually won a an award for poetry in when I was a child. And I know everybody has that story, but I'm
No,
proud of
not
it.
everybody has that story. That's definitely a feather in your cap.
Okay, so I got into the Atlanta public school paper called the Cardinal for my poem, and I've been writing ever since I was fourth grade. So that's what, nine? I guess it's nine, maybe around nine, eight, nine. And I've been writing ever since. Back then, throughout my childhood, teenage years, and even early adulthood, I wrote poetry. Have quite a bit of it, and then once I started college, I just began to just write, and I have no formal training. I just I just love it. It's my utopia. So um I started writing, and like I said, it was sort of, it's my passion. Um uh, I uh, I never published anything, and then I finished my first novel and 20 years ago. No, I want to age myself. 23 years ago, 2000. I remember that specifically because I had started it in 98. It took me 2 years to write it. It was a romance novel. My my genres are romance. I'm a romance fiend. I love romance. And so romance, fantasy, sci-fi fantasy. And I actually have started a biography, so nonfiction. So I guess you could say I'm all over the place. And a little bit of mystery. So mystery in the science fiction and fantasy and romance. And that's my wheelhouse. That's a big old wheelhouse. But that's me. And so I wrote my first novel 20 years ago, and I back then you went through all of that, you got it edited, you had to print it if you actually wanted to do submissions. And I did all that. I did the query and I sent it out, and I was turned out. And it was sort of discouraging, and but I still felt like I was a writer. That's what I wanted to do, even though I wasn't, that wasn't my career. It was my passion. Anyway, so eventually I had kids, and life happened. So I was lifing, as the young kids would say. And writing sort of took a backseat. And now my kids are adults. They're out of the house. They're either out of the house or in college. And I came to a point where I'm like, well, what are you doing? What do you want to be doing with yourself? And what I love more than anything is writing. So I started again. I found Broadleaf. I remember coming to Broadleaf. I was so nervous. I was like, these people are gonna know that I don't know what I'm doing. But I sort of found my tribe. I love the writing community. Actually, been around people who are a lot like me, and Ever since then, I've been writing, and that's pretty much my career as far as a writer is concerned. That covers it.
And then you do have a book you said got published last, you self-published it last year?
Yes, it's a it's a sci-fi fantasy romance novel called Starfall, Telleric, The Queen's Children, which is published and is available wide, which means it's on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Google. What's the Canadian one? Starts with a K.
I don't know. So
But it's wide. Some wide means it's everywhere. Everywhere.
so I love how many different genres that you know kind of have written within. It sounds like romance is pretty well your go-to. Are you what are your favorite things about the romance genre?
I um I love the relationship. I love the ins and outs of relationships. I love that for me, I love the predictability. Even though I know they're gonna usually end up together. That's usually how romance ends. That's essentially what I'm seeking, what I need when I read. I tell my son, my kids that about movies. I'm a movie buff too. And they say, Mom, it doesn't always have to end in redemption. And I was like, yeah, for me it does. That's that's what I need. That's the whole point of me doing this. And so I love that they usually come together in the end. I love that you can actually write what you want to see, what you want to feel, and you can make the characters express what you how you are or what the expectation or that you need to see or feel or read. And that's why I like romance so much.
When you write, so we all hear within the writing communities, you hear your pantsers, you hear your plotters, you know, the folks who just go with it, the folks who meticulously plan. Where do you fall on that spectrum?
I'm like the worst pantser in the world. Like I pants and to see the I've since I started back going to writing events in Broadleaf, Atlanta, Writers Club, they everyone says you need to outline. They also say you need to pick a genre and stick with it. That's not me. And you're supposed to learn everything you can and determine what rules you can break. Well, while I was in there, I was thinking I'm gonna have to break these because I gotta be me. I gotta do what I feel. So I can't stick just with one genre when I feel moved to write something else. Also, I try outlining and I end up writing. So
Mm.
what I do is as I'm writing, if I think of something, I put it in the story. And it may be this is gonna sound crazy. It may be like in the story where it doesn't belong, and I'm writing in between that spot, like before it gets there, but it's there, so I don't lose it, and I eventually get to it. That's as close to outlining as I come. I just don't outline. It doesn't work for me.
I really love the advice that I've seen a lot of people, you know, I'm the same as you. I jump to different genres. I try to outline. I always seem to go off the rails. I love this idea that there really isn't one way to write. It's whatever works for you, and what works for you in this book may not work for you when you're writing this other book. So being
Right.
fluid and going with what feels right. I think a lot of writers could stand to embrace that and not try to shoehorn themselves into like this rigid rule set they think they have to follow. Like you said, break them, break the rules.
Right. And really, that's to me what art is. I mean, you learn as much as you can. I'm still learning. I'm learning so much, it's mind-boggling. But to me, writing is a form of art. It's art. And your artistic freedom is how you feel. What is spurring you on in the moment. It may not be right. You may come back and say, "Oh wow, that was some garbage." But at that time, but that's what editing comes in, you know. So um and that really works for me. I actually love that feeling. Like when you're in the midst of it, it gives me a sense of you know, that feeling of anticipation. I almost
Yeah.
get a little bit of that when I'm writing because it's like, what's gonna happen? Like I love that. And I don't ever want to lose that, you know?
So as you're on this writing journey, are there any stories or authors that have inspired you in particular?
Oh yeah. This is my idea. Yeah. Her name, one author is Naima Simone. And the reason she inspires me is because she, well, I started writing early, but I didn't continue it. She didn't start that early either. I don't know if she's my age, but, and she's prolific now. She started and she was off to the races. I love that. She writes in my genre. She doesn't stick to one. And um she writes romance. But next thing you know, she's writing mystery and I can see the evolution in her of her trying this and trying that. She has a little mix of fantasy in there in some of her books. So I really like her. There's a young lady, her name is Kerrigan, and I love the flow. I love the language of writing she uses. I aspire. She's younger than me, way younger, but I aspire to be able to have my flow be that be that literate and useful. I love it because another thing I was told was that you need short, concise sentences. I don't do that. So I'm learning to learning to do it better. And I'll take my sentences and come back and chop them up. Um, and she's where I aspire for too, because hers are not that short either, but they are concise to me. And I hope to be somewhere in that realm when I'm at, hopefully I reach a plateau in my writing because like I say, I'm still learning. I'm still figuring it out.
I don't know that any writer ever stops learning. There's always that aha moment where, like, oh
Yeah,
yeah, I can incorporate that or I could do that. So that's part of what I love about the writing process and being able to meet other writers and learn how they do it because they all have a different insight into it. Have there been any real life inspirations that have influenced your books aside from the stories and other people's work? Have there been anything within your life that has inspired your work?
yeah. The reason I have a nonfiction that I started, and that's another thing you're not supposed to do. You're not supposed to have three different projects, but I have about five.
Uh-oh. I definitely violate that rule.
So my dad, the biography is of my dad. He's passed away, and his life. Wow. Once I finish it, I hope it can be appreciated. Um, I'm gonna publish it. I hope it's appreciated. It's his life was something. I won't say amazing because it wasn't the a glorious, story. It was almost unbelievable. Some of the things that happened, and I can't wait for it to be done and to show it to my mother and talk to my dad about it too. I still talk to him sometimes.
I love that you're sharing his story. You're getting it ready to share with the world. And I think it doesn't have to be sensational for it to speak to people.
Right,
Although it
right.
sounds like parts of it could be kind of sensational.
It is a little bit bonkers.
So, you had spoke earlier about when you found broadleaf, you feel like you found a tribe, you found some folks you could connect with. Um, how long have you been part of broadleaf? How long have you been part of the community?
It's been 5 years. 2018 is the first conference I came to. Is that 5 years? Yeah, that's five. That's 5 years. I'll never forget it because I was so nervous coming there. Um, but then they're just people. Everybody's a person, and they were saying some of the same things I think. They had some authors who were fairly prolific and fairly successful, and they were talking about imposter syndrome. I was like, whoa, hey, no minute. So I really felt like, oh wow, these people really speak like me. They they think and speak and do the same things I do. So yeah, it's been 5 years.
I think that's what I loved about it too. I was the same. I had that same fear as you did, that they were going to see right through me. They were going to see I was such an amateur, but it's been so empowering to find people who
Right,
understand that struggle.
right, right, right. I couldn't believe it. I loved it. I've loved it ever since.
So I know you're working on this biography. In addition to that, what's next for you? What all have you got going on?
Okay, so like I said, I put off my writing because of life, raising my kids and things of that nature. So when I reached 50, I said, I'm not waiting on anybody. So that's one of the reasons why I self-published, because I'm going to write regardless. And if I want to publish it, I'm going to publish it. And my book, it's not doing, it's not flying off the shelf, but every month I get a little bit of money coming from Amazon or Barnes and Noble. Like, wow, somebody bought it. And that's so cool to me because somebody's appreciating it. So okay, so what am I working on? So that first book is the first in a series. And so I'm working on the second one, which has an excerpt of the second one in the back of the first one. And I also thought about some marketing ideas. And I have this really great marketing idea, and I just can't wait to put it into play. And one of those things is to have a book, like a feed book, like a book, one book that's either free or 99 cents, or that I use to market and have all my information and send them to my website in the book and send them to the books I have coming up. I'm working on that book right now too. Um, that's a romance with just a little bit of magical realism in it. Just a little bit. It is the prologue. No, not the prologue. It's the it's the what do you call a book before a series?
Prequel.
The prequel to another series, but it is to give people a taste of my writing. So, and it has a little bit of regular romance and magical realism in it. So you get a taste of both. And then in the book, in the digital book and the paperback, I'll send them to my website so they can get some free samples and they can see which genre they like and hopefully buy the next book. I'm working on that one too.
Nice. Um, I don't know if you know, but we're as a broadleaf member, you actually do get a 1 hour marketing consultation. You can break that up into two 30-minute sessions, whatever you need, with me, where we can help strategize and I can kind of help you work out some of your marketing ideas and everything too. So let me know if you'd like to schedule that sometime.
I sure will. I need to talk to you.
So you mentioned a website, and I know you said your books are just broadly available out there online. Give us your web address. Where can people find you?
Is www.yolandafayedaniel.com.
Nice.
That's where the Faye comes in because the other one, Yolanda Daniel, wasn't available. So it's my name.
And we will also have links in the article that will be on the Broadleaf website. Once again, thank you so much, Yolanda, for sitting down with me today and joining me for this member spotlight. It has been an absolute pleasure learning more about you, and I can't wait to bring this to the world and let them meet you too.
Oh, we're done? Oh, okay. I feel good. Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.